90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. The Everly Brothers, Wake Up Little Susie, remembering Don Everly, who passed away on Saturday at the age of 84. One of the true great duet singing partners, the Everly Brothers. And welcome to another edition of From the Press Box. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is my brother, and yes, my co-host, award-winning sports writer, Tim Leonard. Hello, brother. Can you hear us?
Good morning, brother. Of course I can hear you.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds actually very good. And Timmy's on remote today. I am in the studio. It is, I wouldn't say pouring outside, but it's very wet outside. And it's very damp, actually, brother. If I had to pick you up today at the train, Tim Leonard might be a little wet. You know?
More than likely would be, brother.
Yeah. So, anyway, welcome to the show. And I think we could do phone calls, brother. 516-572. Yeah, we can. 7440. Just to let people know. And, it's a typical day, Monday. I want to start out, brother, with the Yankees.
Oh, damn.
They are the hottest team in baseball right now, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
They're one of two, brother.
Aren't the Mets the others?
The Yankees have won 9 in a row, and so have tonight's opponents, the Atlanta Braves.
But aren't the Mets doing great too?
No.
Oh, okay. I forgot.
Those are not.
No, the Mets are, let's be honest, the Mets right now are, I don't want to say gone, but...
Poor is the word you're looking for, brother.
But they're not doing well, let's put it that way. So, I don't know, man.
We will discuss the Mets a little bit later in the show.
Okay, give us the rundown with the Yankees, what's going on with them. We want to hear good things, right, brother?
Well, there's really nothing but good things to talk about with the Yankees right now. 30-11 since July 6th. So, I mean, that's right now the Yankees are playing well above 700 baseball,
which is fantastic.
So when your winning percentage is above 700, you're doing something right. And these days, the Yankees, in fact, for more than a month, the Yankees have been doing a whole lot right. The only concern that I have right now is that potentially that the Yankees are peaking too early, because right. they went from being a team that was struggling, that we talked about many times, about why can't they put a winning streak together? Why do they keep blowing games? Aaron Boone, the Yankees manager, who knows how many times this season that he has used the phrase gut punch or gut punch loss, or it seems to be his favorite expression. Although it's one of those expressions that you don't necessarily want to use very often, but that had been the Yankee season up until a little more than a month ago. Was win a couple of games and then have another heartbreaking loss. Well, now we're in a situation where the last heartbreaking loss that the Yankees had was in the Field of Dreams game, and that was a week and a half ago. Right, and that was a big show and everything else that goes with it, to use a phrase our mom uses. Yes, I was about to point that out. They're just playing really well, and you hope they're not peaking a little too early. It's if you're a Yankee fan, of course. Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, I know, but I'm just agreeing with you. So, well, I mean, right now, let's put it this way: can the Yankees play this way the rest of the season? Well, you look at the way they're playing right now, and you have to say yes. But obviously, it'll all come down to pitching. It'll all come down to good health. Like when you have a rookie like Luis Gil, saying, pitching. The guy's pitched 15 2/3 scoreless innings so far in his major league career. That's obviously not going to last. But can Luis Gil remain an effective pitcher? Well, we might not even find out, because the Yankees still have Luis Severino coming back hopefully soon. Corey Kluber is supposed to be coming back probably within a week or two. So we're in a situation where a lot of guys are on the verge of being healthy again. Gio Urshela at third base has been out for an extended period. That is going to be a circumstance in the coming week or two or so, that where decisions are going to have to be made on some guys, and some players who have made significant contributions over the last month plus will have to be sent back down to the minor leagues. This kid Andrew Velazquez, Bronx native, he's actually been sleeping in his childhood bedroom in the Bronx while he's been playing for the Yankees. Hit his first major league home run over the weekend. His mom and his grandmother and his sister, and they were all in the stands crying because they were so happy. And here's a nice story. The guy who caught Andrew Velazquez's first major league home run not only gave him the ball back, but did not ask for anything.
Not even an autograph?
I mean, I'm assuming he got an autograph, because.
Well, what are you gonna say? I want $100?
Well, I mean, there have been a lot of times where people have caught home run balls, or
he's not your boy Zach Hampel, brother.
Well, Zach Hampel, to his credit, he did
it for charity.
Did he ask? Did he ask for stuff? Yes, he did. It was A-Rod's. What number was it?
3,000.
No, A-Rod didn't get 3,000 hits. It was.
He didn't.
It was a milestone home run. I think it was. I think it was when he passed Willie Mays. But Hampel asked for money that went to charity.
Right.
I'm not gonna rip him for that, because he got $250,000 donated to a charity. But there have been guys like the guy who caught Derek Jeter's home run ball. He didn't ask for anything, but I mean, he wound up getting autographs and jerseys and all kinds of stuff like that. This guy just said, hey kid, here, take the ball. You're a New York guy. I'm a New York guy. I'm thrilled for you. Who knows if Andrew Velazquez is going to be a major leaguer ever again. But right now, he is playing. He's playing well. He's contributing. He's kind of raised the level of his game, and he's having a whole lot of fun doing it. And I mean, let's face it, there aren't a lot of New York-born ball players in the major leagues these days, not like there used to be. So when you see one, and especially when you see one on the Yankees, it's a little something to celebrate.
No, I agree, and that's, hey, the Yankees are doing really good. I mean, will they make the playoffs? We think so. I think so. You might not have thought that a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, Tim. I think you were a little. Well, I mean, I think down about your Yankees.
A few weeks ago or a month or so ago, I was wondering about this team, because clearly there's all kinds of talent there, but it was the number of heartbreaking losses that when you looked at this team and you see all of the talent and you start to wonder, is this team just snake bit, or what is the missing part of the equation? Because like I said, the talent is there. I mean, this is the team that was a very good team last year. So why weren't they winning? What was going on? I mean, it all came back to pitching for me. Well, in the last 9 games, the Yankees team ERA is 2.6. So you're going to win a lot of games when your ERA is 2.6.
Right.
So that's what we're dealing with. And like not so long ago, the Yankees were behind more than a couple of teams for the wild card spot. I mean, I'm still, and I think I said this last week or 2 weeks ago, I'm still not sitting here saying that the Yankees are going to catch the Tampa Bay Rays, because Tampa Bay is playing very well as also. But if the Yankees keep doing what they're doing right now, yeah, they will catch the Rays. And Tampa's not going to have anything to say about it, because if you're playing over 700 baseball, nobody's going to, there's not a team in the major leagues that's going to be able to hold you off. So it'll happen, but who knows when. Tampa, don't get me wrong, Tampa Bay is a very good team. And I still have no idea how they do this year after year. How they not only stay in contention and keep themselves as a contender in one of the toughest divisions in baseball. I'm not even going to say it's the toughest division in baseball, because the National League West is probably the toughest division in baseball this season. But this is a team that just, they get it done, and they figure out a way to get it done, and you can't deny that. I mean, it's a great organization, and they do what they can. But right now, the Yankees are they're just overwhelming teams. And the nice thing about it for the future is that the Yankees have been doing it in close games all season. They played so many 1- and 2-run games that the laugher is a rarity. Like right now, and I was thinking about this last night. It seems like every week there's a new player who's kind of carrying the team. A couple weeks ago it was Giancarlo Stanton, then Aaron Judge, and this past week Luke Voit.
Right.
And Luke Voit got some heat from some people, because last week first of all he got back in the lineup basically because Anthony Rizzo caught COVID. And after having a couple good games, Luke Voit was in the press conference. They're still doing the Zoom calls after the game, and Voit was on the Zoom call, and somebody asked him about playing time, because hey, here's Anthony Rizzo, and he's been doing great since he came over in the trade, and that's kind of cost you some playing time, but here you are now, playing pretty well, and what do you think is going to happen going forward? And Luke Voit didn't say the right thing, quote unquote. He instead said, look, hey, I led the American League in home runs last year. I was in the top 10 in the MVP voting, and I deserve to play as much as Anthony Rizzo does. And it's not a popular answer in the sense of, well, it should be team first, and I'm going to let the skipper decide, whatever. Luke Voit didn't say anything wrong as far as I'm concerned. I want guys who want to play. I want guys who say, hey, I deserve to be in a lineup, and here's my performance that says, yeah, I do belong in the lineup. And don't just take me out of the lineup just because you just traded for this guy. Because I'm still a pretty damn good player too. And Luke Voit, in especially in the last week, in his last 7 games, Luke Voit is 13 for 26. That's a 500 batting average, brother. With 3 home runs and 13 RBIs. That's in 7 games. He's had multiple RBIs in 5 of 7 games. And on Friday, brother, Luke Voit celebrated your birthday.
Yes. By
going 4 for 5 with a home run and 4 RBIs in one of those rare blowout wins as the Yankees beat the Minnesota Twins 10-2.
So he's basically saying, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah, and that is forcing the difficult decision, because let's face it, the Yankees have been using Giancarlo Stanton as their pretty much exclusive DH. And to make this work, you need to put Aaron Judge in center field. You wind up putting Stanton in right, and you put or you put Joey Gallo in right, and you put Stanton in left or right. You got to put Stanton basically wherever he can run less. And people think Stanton's a bad outfielder. He's actually a pretty good outfielder. He just hasn't played the outfield in a couple of years.
Right.
So this for the Yankees going forward, having Luke Voit at DH, because Luke Voit is never going to be nearly as good a defensive first baseman as Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo he's like Don Mattingly level as far as first baseman defensively go.
Not bad.
So Luke Voit is never going to be that good on defense. So that means Voigt's got to be he's got to be your DH, unless you're going to give Rizzo a day off, and then Voit plays first and Stanton goes back to DH, and you give Brett Gardner a day in center and put Judge back in right. But that, like I said, that's the best Yankees lineup going forward is Luke Voit at DH, Stanton in the outfield. It might not be as good defensively, but it is clearly your best offensive lineup. And that's going to be the way the Yankees are going to have to do it going forward. Because
personally, brother, I think this is the type of thing at this point in the season, you just sort of do that and you worry about what you're going to do after the season ends. I really think that's, right now the Yankees are on a roll. You got to go with what's taking you there. And I think what you do is you say, okay, we're going to worry about this after the season because you can't really do it otherwise.
You also, injuries are always part of the game.
And also, maybe there is an injury. You don't want that, but, No,
you don't. Obviously, you don't want it, but there always are injuries. So if something happens and somebody has to miss 10 days or whatever, then fine. Then you make the adjustments. But for right now, the way things are, that's the way the Yankees are going to go forward is with Luke Voit, as your DH. And just crushing the ball. And all it does, putting Luke Voit at DH, it makes the Yankees lineup deeper.
Yep.
And it makes it more dangerous. And that obviously that is what you're looking for. And when Gio Urshela comes back and goes back to third base, fine, that makes the line even if it doesn't make the lineup as good, but I think it will, but you're making your defense a lot better. Because Rougned Odor has been playing third. He's never played third at the major league level. I mean, he's done a pretty good job, but he's not Gio Urshela. Gio Urshela is a Gold Glove level third baseman.
Right.
So, assuming that Gio, when he comes back, is 100% healthy, which, given the Yankees' history, they don't activate guys before they're 100% healthy.
Right. Let's okay. One more thing, and then let's get to the Mets, Tim. We got about 17 topics today, so.
We're good, bro. We're good.
No, we're not. We got 17 topics, man.
Well, all I want to say is the Yankees again could help the Mets starting tonight because they will play a 2-game series in Atlanta starting tonight. The Braves and the Yankees both come into the game with 9-game winning streaks, bro.
Okay, but 2 games ain't helping the Mets right now. Anyway, speaking of the Mets, Uncle Stevie put out a Twitter this past Wednesday with the quote, "It's hard to understand how professional hitters can be this unproductive," which is a great tweet, and I'm glad he did that, and it's such a true statement. And, the Mets did win a game, but they went back to, I don't want to say normal, but right now normal, with what's going on with the Mets. It was nice that he did that. I'm not sure I want to see him tweeting every day. I don't want a Donald Trump thing. Or even, imagine George Steinbrenner had tweeting. But I think George preferred the back page of the Daily News calling Bill Madden on the overnight or something. Or, Bill has told us that. George, if he was still around, probably would have used Twitter.
But yeah, he was an old school dinosaur kind of guy. He would have just called his favorite media guy or whichever media guy's turn it was, and he would have said, "All right, I got something to say."
Right. So I'm glad he's commenting. I'm glad he's caring. He easily could have said nothing. He easily could have just said, "Oh well, they're trying." But, this is his first year as a Mets owner. He's been a lifelong Mets fan. He should know some of the history of the Mets falling apart after the All-Star break. Though in 2015, they did what they weren't supposed to do. In 2016, they made the playoffs, too.
Went to the World Series.
Yeah, they weren't supposed to do that, and they were outplayed by the Royals, but still. Anyway, so it's nice to see this. I'm not sure what's happening with the Mets right now. They're painful to watch.
I agree, brother. I've tried to watch a couple of Met games this week, and they really are. It's painful to watch. And when Steve Cohen says, it's hard to understand how professional hitters can be this unproductive. Isn't this guy a lifelong Mets fan?
Well, yeah, I just said that.
This shouldn't be new to him.
But, it's different when you own the team. And, let's be honest, Michael Conforto has not been playing for his contract next season. When he's going to have a new contract signed by someone. I don't think the Mets are going to sign him. He's not really doing well.
It's going to depend on how much he's willing to take, brother.
Yeah, I like Conforto. I really want him to do well. I root for him, and I'm just sad that this whole situation with him and some of the other Mets are just there. Now, Lindor is coming back this week.
Yes. Baez came back. Javier Baez came back yesterday. Lindor is he'll probably be back for Tuesday's game against the San Francisco Giants.
Right.
He's been taking swings. He's been doing, working in the field. So it's very likely that we will see the dynamic duo that the Mets envisioned when they traded for Javi Baez at the deadline, starting on Tuesday. And that's a pretty significant addition for the Mets. I mean, it's obviously going to give them 2 impact bats back, 2 middle of the lineup bats. So. I'm not going to sit here and say the Mets are out of it because we still have a month and a half of season left. We still have, approximately 40 or so games. And if you look at what the Atlanta Braves have done in the last week and a half or so, clearly things can change quickly in the National League East. So, am I going to say the Mets are out of it? No, they're not. And part of the reason they're not out of it yet is because the division, even though the Braves have pulled away, with their 9-game winning streak, and they've gone 9-1 in the last 10, but they could very easily fade back into the pack and play the way that they played all season. To say that the Braves aren't a 500 team after they played 110 games at a 500 level, who knows? But the Mets certainly need to get something done in a hurry. And they need to start winning games. The pitching needs to be better, and that's the pitching has been the big issue, because the Mets said this week or last week that Jacob deGrom is 99% done for the season, and we still haven't gotten a real diagnosis on him in terms of what's wrong. All the Mets keep saying is forearm tightness, and I've said this before. Forearm tightness tends to be a precursor to Tommy John surgery.
Right, but if you think he has or will need, I should say, Tommy John surgery, wouldn't you want to get him in as soon as possible? Why would you wait?
I mean,
that's the case.
Yes and no, because sometimes the injury can heal with rest. Like Masahiro Tanaka for the Yankees. They diagnosed him, I don't remember how many years ago, with a partially torn ligament in his elbow. And the thinking for a while, and by a while I'm talking about several years, was, all right, well, just, let him go. If there's any pain, as long as he can deal with it, that is fine. But that at some point he's going to need elbow surgery. Well, you know what? Masahiro Tanaka led Japan to a gold medal at the Olympics, and his elbow is still fine. So, it was a combination of rest, of not overworking him, and just kind of being careful with him. And, for whatever reason, that elbow ligament stayed intact, and obviously it didn't hurt him too much that he wasn't able to pitch. Right now the Mets are calling deGrom's injury right elbow inflammation. Again, it's such a vague term. It's such a nothing term, really. But
if it was inflammation, you just put in an ice bucket and let it, go down.
Yeah, but that's a simplistic that's remedy, brother.
But that's what they're talking about. They're trying to make it sound simplistic. And if it really was just inflammation, you put the elbow in, or you sit in an ice tub or something. I don't know.
Right, but the situation is that you can say that it's inflammation, but it goes from inflammation to reconstructive surgery in a hurry.
Yes, it does.
There's not a whole lot of levels in between. But the Mets on your birthday, brother, the Mets transferred DeGrom to the 60-day injured list, which means he's not even eligible to return until mid-September. And given the fact that he hasn't pitched now in, I don't even know, I don't remember the last time he started. It's got to be at least a month.
Yeah.
But he's not coming back because mid-September he would have to throw at least one rehab start. So there's another week.
And could he do it in September? I mean, minor league baseball,
that's
playoffs.
He'd have to do what they call simulated games.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, to go through all of this for him to make possibly one or two starts at the end of the season, it just doesn't make sense. And then those one or two starts would be 5 innings because they wouldn't want him throwing more than 75.
Right, but it also reminds me of like Matt Harvey. He fought it back and then, but maybe screwed up his arm in the process. Wow. Brother, with DeGrom out, you know who the Mets should get? You know who I'm thinking of, brother. Big Sexy. He's pitching right now somewhere, and the Orioles were just interested in him. And you know what? The Big Sexy would be a great person to have on this team because right now DeGrom is gone, and they need something to get this team going. And I think, I joke about Bartolo Colon, but you know what? He has a rubber arm, and he'd be really good right now.
Let's say he'll be really good. I mean, because there's a reason he's not pitching in the major leagues right now.
I wouldn't say really good, but you might need a player like him, even for like 2 or 3 starts,
Could he take the ball? Yes, certainly he could.
Yes, he could.
Would he be effective? Or that is very questionable.
But look what's
right now the Mets also, don't forget, have Noah Syndergaard trying to ramp it up and get ready to go. I mean, he's been throwing. He's been trying to get himself ready, and he's coming off elbow surgery for Tommy John from last season. So he's trying to get back and get ready. And Syndergaard is motivated. He wants to pitch very much because he's a free agent after this season. So he wants to be able to show teams that he's healthy and can be effective again. And he wants the ball. He wants to get out there. So, that is to get a motivated Noah Syndergaard back and you hope that he's 100% healthy and he's ready to go. But, it's going to take a little bit of time. But, right now the Mets problems, it all comes back to pitching because Marcus Stroman has been pretty much their only effective pitcher. I mean, Taijuan Walker made the All-Star team, but since the All-Star game has been a disaster.
Yes, it has.
And Carlos Carrasco finally got back from injury, and again, has been a disaster. He's I don't think he's gone 6 innings in any start that he's made, and he's given up a ton of runs. His ERA is like, last I looked, it was like 9 something. So, the Mets rotation wise, they got Rich Hill at the trade deadline to try to eat some innings and fill some starts, but Rich Hill is a classic example of a guy, and I don't know if he actually admitted this, but he's a classic example of a guy who was being helped significantly by spider tack, and since MLB got rid of the sticky stuff as they were calling it.
I got a question about that, brother.
What's that?
The sticky stuff, and we use it in quotes. Isn't that like isn't that like a spitter? Putting the Vaseline on the ball.
No, yes and no. I mean, it's just something that gives the pitchers a better grip on the baseball.
Yeah, but
and there was somebody I forget who it was, but there was somebody who said that the solution for the major leagues is in the baseballs. In fact, I think they were using them in the Olympics. If I read the headline, I didn't read the whole story, but if I remember correctly, and this was obviously a couple of weeks ago. But there was a pitcher who was talking about the Olympic baseball and said that they were tackier than the major league version. And he basically said, look, why don't they use these in the major leagues? Because this would solve the problem. Nobody would need to have the sticky stuff, the spider tack, whatever you want to call it, if they use these baseballs. Because that's the grip on them is good enough that you wouldn't need to use anything else. So, and that makes sense. I mean, I don't know if you've ever held a Major League Baseball, brother. I have. They're not. It's not yes, you can rub it up and you can, but it's a pretty slick thing.
Right.
So if you're having difficulty holding it, that's always been the biggest issue. Is if it's still slick enough where you're not going to get enough friction to be able to snap the curveball off, or get your slider to break enough. That's always been the issue. So if somebody is making a baseball that has a little more tackiness to it, then you don't need anything else. You don't need grip aid to be able to get more spin rate into that, which gives the ball more break. So I don't know why baseball doesn't look into that. That's something they should want to do. Because I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's also a hitter issue from the standpoint of if a pitcher, especially in colder weather, if a pitcher can't get a good grip on a baseball, that's dangerous for a hitter. Because every once in a while a pitch is going to get away and that pitch is going to hit a batter. Right. And if it hits him in the head, you're talking about potentially ending a career.
That's true. Also, this week, this Saturday, finally, Jerry Koosman's number 36 will be retired by the Mets. It actually was supposed to be done in 2019. And then, was it? No, 2020. I'm sorry.
Probably last year, brother.
Yeah, last year. And then, of course, they didn't do it because of COVID. And I thought maybe it was 2019, too. I think it was 2019 originally, and then 2020 for COVID, and now they're doing it. But you know what? They barely announced this. This is something that should have been a major announcement so everyone can go. I can't go Saturday now. So I would love to be there for Jerry Koosman. We were both there with our friends for Tom Seaver when he, back in, was it 1989, he went to the mound and, he bowed from there, which was a very touching moment. And I thought, they really haven't retired many numbers, the Mets. They retired Piazza, they retired Gill, Casey Stengel, and I think that's it. They never retired.
The Mets don't have many retired numbers.
Well, I would say I would have done Willie Mays just for the New York thing, even though he's only here for 2 years because of the New York Giants. But you're right, they really haven't had too many. And Koosman had the numbers, but he almost had the numbers. If he had left the Mets earlier and went to another team that he would play good, because he was there for the doldrum 70s teams, this guy could have been in the Hall of Fame. He had a great World Series. He was a very good playoff pitcher. He was,
he certainly had longevity. I'll give him that. Jerry Koosman pitched. How many years did he pitch? 19 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Koosman, like you said, brother, Koosman's problem was he pitched for some not so good teams.
Yeah.
And his lifetime record is 222 and 209, which is pretty pedestrian. But 222 wins is pretty significant.
Right. So, but how many bad years did he play? When did he leave the Mets? Was it 77?
It was 78 was his last season with the Mets.
Yeah,
but see, here's the crazy part. 78 with the Mets. He was 3-15.
Yeah.
But with a 3.75 ERA.
Right.
Which back then wasn't so good, but that's not horrible.
No, not today.
Then the next season, 1979 at 36, he had his only 20-win season. So he went from 3-15 to 20-13.
Right, and 78, that was a year after the Mets got rid of Tom Seaver, and they
weren't a good team that year.
They were not a very good team.
I mean, I shouldn't say that was his only 20-win year, because Koosman won 21 games with the Mets in 76. Jerry, see, if I was just looking at these numbers and saying, all right, what's going on, I would have assumed that Jerry Koosman had a significant injury. Because in 76, he was 21-10. He finished second in the Cy Young voting.
Right.
And then in 77, and then he goes the next year in 77, he was 8-20. And in 78, he was 3-15.
Yeah.
So he went 11-35 over the course of 2 seasons. So you would have to assume he was done at that point.
Right.
And instead, Jerry Koosman wound up pitching another 7 years in the major leagues.
Right. So
no, 6 years. I'm sorry. No, wait a minute. No, 7 years.
Right. So
and was won 20 games in 79, won 16 games in 80. Even in 84, at age 41, was 14-15 for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, he was good with the Phillies. They won.
I'm talking about with longevity.
Right.
It's crazy.
So I'm glad they're doing it. I mean, I'm trying to think of other people they can retire, numbers they can retire. I don't know. I remember we talked to Bill Madden. And we were talking about the numbers of Rusty Staub, and he was promised certain things, and they never gave it to him. So he never got 3,000 hits, and of course now isn't in the Hall of Fame, basically because of that, because he was more of a pinch hitter at the end.
Right.
So
because he wasn't getting at bats, and they thought he was going to play first base, and then they got Kingman, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure that's when Kingman came in, and that was all of a sudden now Rusty Staub was nothing more than a glorified pinch hitter. Yeah,
too bad. So I can't think of any other Met guys. I mean, you can't think of Dwight Gooden because he didn't stay long enough. You can't think of Strawberry. You can think of Hernandez, but he's not there. He's 83 to 88, I think, or 89.
I mean, the Mets, the problem that the Mets have with retired numbers is they don't have a lot of guys who have played extended seasons.
Right.
David Wright to me is the next retired.
Right. That's obvious. That's probably the best one. And even
but
then,
who else?
And even then, though, he had his last 4 seasons or whatever it was when he was injured. He wasn't the same guy that came up with the Mets. So, he's probably the last one for a while. I can't think of anyone right now. No,
and it all. I mean, could Pete Alonso be that guy in the future? Yeah, he could be.
Yeah.
But when you and who knows, maybe Francisco Lindor as well towards the end. I mean, I'm sure Met fans are probably recoiling when I say that. But he is going to be here for the next 10 years.
Right. Let's hope Pete does something.
And like I said, being part of a franchise for that period of time, that's how you get your number retired.
Right.
And the Mets, there haven't really been a lot of career Mets.
No,
Strawberry and Gooden were supposed to be those guys. Well, Strawberry left town as soon as he could, and Gooden obviously had his off the field issues. So
and Seaver was only 10 years. So and
yeah, but the Mets kind of betrayed Seaver.
Yes, they did. I agree, and he was the franchise, and I mean, he deserved everything he got.
Yeah, he was obviously an all-time great, not just Mets, but in baseball.
Right. Anyway, brother, we're going to take a break right now. And for the first time in a long... Actually, we used to take verbal breaks, but we're going to play some promo breaks. So we're going to talk about the Jets and the Giants when we get back. You're listening to 90.3 WHPC from the Press Box. If you want to give us a call, 516-572-7440.
Shake off the realities of the day, broaden your musical horizons, and embrace the diversity every Monday afternoon at 5 for 2 hours of Revelations. The show offers a potently unique collection of music with an emphasis on themes and rock rarities, an occasional tour de force of blues and soul, mixed with compelling sets of folk and folk rock. I'm Steve Kay, and I've got the perfect soundtrack for your drive home every Monday afternoon at 5. On Revelations, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Answer me. Who taught you to listen to Radio Rumble at 12 p.m. on Saturday afternoons?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
I'd buy that for $1.
The Radio Rumble has it all.
Humanity will suffer with me.
Movie reviews.
No, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong.
Sports talk.
Hi, sports fans. I'm Doug Frisch-Preed.
Awesome music.
Excellent!
So listen, Saturday afternoons at 12 p.m. for The Radio Rumble on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
I learned it by watching you.
Frank Sinatra.
Bing Crosby.
Ella Fitzgerald.
Dean Martin.
Hey guys, what are you doing?
We're making a list of artists you don't hear on the radio anymore.
Wait, I know where you can hear all of them and more.
Where?
Right here on Standard Serenade. Join me, Glenn DeMilt, for 2 hours of great songs by the great stars. Saturday afternoon at 5 voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Brother, you think we could sing like that?
No.
I don't think so. The Everly Brothers, remembering Don, who passed away this past Saturday. You know, brother, they sometimes had disagreements too as brothers.
Yeah, it happens.
You know, not that we ever do, because
it's been happening since Cain and Abel, brother.
We get along all the time, brother. So
no.
Yes, we do. I'm always right, though. That's the thing. I mean,
that's why we don't get along all the time.
Because you've realized that. You say, hey, my brother Rob's right. He's the older guy. He's always looking, doing the right thing and everything.
By the way, just in case anybody was wondering, brother, 1978, Jerry Koosman, second in the NL Cy Young Award to Randy Jones of the San Diego Padres,
who became a Met later on.
I don't know, did he?
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right at the end. Oof.
It was like 83 or something, 82.
Randy Jones must have tore his Tommy John ligament, because he went from 22 and 14 in 1976 to just being a bum after that.
When was he with the Mets?
In 81 and 82.
Yeah. Oof.
His career was 10 years, and I remember when he won that Cy Young. I mean, he was a dominant pitcher, and he had been a dominant pitcher for a couple of years, and then he just fell off.
Yeah.
So that must have been the Mets got him at the end. He was 1-8 in 81, and he was 7-10 in 82, wow. And then he called it a career.
Wow, that's horrible. Anyway, brother, let's talk about the Jets. Zach Wilson is hopefully proving that he is the next Jet quarterback who doesn't stink.
Good description, brother.
I don't know how to describe the Jets quarterback situation since Sanchez, because Sanchez brought him to the playoffs for 2 years.
Let's not give Sanchez that much credit.
Well, normally you would.
That team was in place. It wouldn't have taken much for a quarterback to get those teams to the playoffs.
Yeah, but then the 2 years afterwards, when they went down the toilet, it's like, whoa, he was there too. So
yeah, that was part of the problem. Is when the team was in place, Sanchez was fine. When the team, when there wasn't as much of a team in place, Sanchez quickly became part of the problem. So. Yeah, Sanchez. They won in spite of Sanchez, not because of him. And the fact that Sanchez hasn't been in the league in a while now, that's just proof that Sanchez.
Well, brother, I was in our favorite thrift store last week, and they were selling Rex Ryan's book for $4. But it was
I didn't even know Rex Ryan had $4 for Rex Ryan's book.
But I think it might have had one of those discounts on it, but. I couldn't buy I checked to see if it was at least autographed, and it wasn't. So I said, "Is it really worth $4?" And I said,
"No, absolutely."
And then I said,
"I like Rex Ryan, but who wrote it with him?"
I forgot. I didn't. You can check that out, but I have no idea. But I was thinking to myself, if I work in television, he's working in television. Maybe one day I might work for that company, and then. I get his autograph to sign the book. It'd be worth maybe $4.10.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but how does it get that bad so quickly? I mean, I know he came in, but
drafting.
I know
bad drafting, and Rex was part of the problem. As much as I loved Rex, and I loved Rex as a New York coach, he had that brashness, and he was loud, and he was basically a New Yorker. He was a guy who had a lot of confidence in himself, but the problem was he only wanted to coach defense. He didn't want to be a head coach.
Yeah,
and he didn't want he would just let his offensive coordinator handle the offense, and you can't do that as a head coach. You need to interact with everybody. And Rex he loved his defensive guys. and really didn't care so much about his offensive guys. And players feel that. Players, no player wants to be a second-class citizen. No player wants to feel like, well, we're his second favorite unit. It should be the whole team.
Right.
And Robert Saleh is going to have to, reach out to his offense to make sure that they know that, because he is obviously a defensive guy. He's known as a defensive guy. But with a rookie quarterback, Saleh is going to have to make sure that he and Zach Wilson are on the same page, and that he's going to have to obviously have a big role in Zach Wilson's development. I tell you what, I was impressed with Wilson against the Green Bay Packers on Saturday, and it didn't even have so much to do with the numbers, because the numbers were really good.
The numbers were very good, actually.
9 for 11 for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Not bad.
That's no matter. There is no way in any measurable statistic that anybody can say that Zach Wilson had anything other than a great game on Saturday. But what impressed me the most was how he did it. And you could see during certain plays, here's Zach Wilson going through his progressions. And here's Wilson dropping back, looking at the first receiver. All right, he's covered. Boom, going to the second receiver. Okay, no, not him. Boom, going third receiver. And it was a quick process. It was a quarterback making decisions that need to be made, and that need to be made in a hurry, because you don't have a lot of time when you're dropping back in the pocket. You got really big guys who want to hurt you.
Sure. And
Zach Wilson did all of this, and the reason it impressed me was because Sam Darnold never seemed to get the hang of it. And Sam Darnold would lock in on a receiver. And J.P. Pelsman, friend of the show, J.P. Pelsman, talked about this often, is that one of Darnold's biggest problems was he would lock in on a receiver. He would take the snap, boom, fading back, and he's already locked in on his target. And as a quarterback, you can't do that, because now you're giving away what you're doing to the defense, and you're allowing the defense to react before you do anything. If you're locked in on a receiver, well, fine. Now the defense knows who to cover, because here you are locked in. You're not looking at anybody else, and if you're not looking at anybody else, you're not throwing at anybody else. So if the defense is saying, all right, he's going down the right sideline, well, let's get guys over there. And now you got a double coverage situation, and you're not going to get a completed pass. So that was what impressed me the most. It was that Zach Wilson not only obviously had the arm and threw some nice balls, but that he played the position in a mental way and did what needed to be done to have a successful outcome, which would be a completion or a touchdown or both. But he also there was one play with the tight end where they scored a touchdown. Croft is the kid's name, where he looked away so that the defender didn't come over to the tight end, Tyler Croft. And he was able to kind of sneak the pass over into a window, and Croft was able to catch it and just go right into the end zone. Croft had 2 touchdowns, by the way. He took another pass on the left sideline, made a really slick move, especially for a tight end.
Right.
Just slipped a tackler. It was really nice. And got and barreled his way into the end zone for another touchdown. So that was good. And the other impressive part of the team offensively, anyway, was Zach Wilson and Corey Davis, the free agent wide receiver that they signed in this offseason. Looked like they already have some chemistry together. Corey Davis caught 4 balls for 70 yards. That's nice to see. It's nice to see when your rookie quarterback, who they said was struggling early in training camp, nice to see when he has already some chemistry with the guy you expect to be his number 1 receiver.
Right.
And also has has developing chemistry with who I expect to be the number 1 tight end. So. Some good things ahead for the Jets, I think. I'm certainly not going to predict playoffs or anything, but, this is all encouraging stuff from the guy who was the number 2 pick in the draft and the guy who you're hoping is going to lead this franchise, back to respectability, if not playoff contention.
Right. Let's talk about the Giants. John Mara, co-owner, gave the State of the Giants speech on Tuesday. I love the quote, "We're all on the hot seat, with our fans in particular." Of course. We've given them too many losing seasons.
Yeah, you have.
It's time for us to start winning. But no, I wouldn't say he is on the hot seat, meaning Gettleman. I wouldn't say that. That's an accurate statement. Yes, he is. Come on.
I don't have, I'm not big on owners putting declarations out there, ultimatums.
Why not? George Steinbrenner did it for years.
I'm not a fan. I mean, let's face it. All of these guys know that they're coaching and playing for their jobs. That's professional sports. If you don't do the job, if you're not successful, you will get fired. I mean, that's sports. That's how it works. So you don't need your owner getting up in front of the media and saying, "Well, we better win, otherwise it's going to cost him his job." Gettleman knows if the Giants go 5-12 this year, he knows he's out of a job. I mean, for all the money that they spent in the offseason on free agents, for all of the cash that has been invested in trying to make Daniel Jones a good quarterback or a winning quarterback, it all comes down to Daniel Jones. It's not even the amount of money that's been spent on free agents in this offseason, because now Daniel Jones, as a third-year quarterback, has the weapons around him. Even though I still don't think the line is very good, and the line is probably the most important part. But do the Giants have skill players for days? Yeah, they do. They have, assuming Saquon Barkley is 100% ready to go, they have one of the best running backs in the league.
Right.
They have a very solid and talented wide receiver core, and they'll find a tight end. Evan Ingram, I still think drops the ball too much, but he can play. He's a good tight end. He can be a good tight end. But the Giants went out and spent a lot of money on Kenny Golladay. They spent their first round pick on a playmaker. This is a team that should be able to do a lot of things with the ball, but you still need to be able to block, and you still need to be able to give a kid who I still don't think is a very good quarterback, but you need to give him time, and he needs to hang on to the ball. So those are the issues for the Giants this year. We'll see where it goes and what happens. But the Giants, for me, should be a big turnaround team this year.
Oh, I think so too. And especially if you think about last year, brother, they almost made the playoffs. How close were they to the playoffs at one point?
They were a game away, and it was only because the division was so embarrassing.
Oh, right. So I mean,
let's not pretend it was a good division.
I didn't say it was, but the Giants could have been in the playoffs if they had won one more game, basically, and not seemingly giving up, because they were on a roll, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we did our deal. So anyway, brother, we're running out of time. Quickly, Miguel Cabrera.
Miguel
Cabrera hit his 500th career homer finally against the Toronto Blue Jays off Steven Matz, former Met. Cabrera needs 40-something hits for 3,000. Future Hall of Famer there. Henrik Lundqvist has retired. He was technically signed by the Capitals, but he has decided that he will retire, and his number 30 will be retired sometime during the 21-22 season.
Yeah, Lundqvist, brother. Let me just say, he's told a newspaper in Sweden that he will need another heart procedure. But he had open heart surgery last season, right, which is why he never played for the Capitals. But he's not sure yet what's happening. But he said he needs another procedure. But he said that because the treatments are improving, that he's not sure if they're actually going to have to open him up or not. So,
right.
Apparently he's in good health. I'm not sure exactly what the problem is, but it's at 39, 40 years old, whatever his age is, it's time, because if he's going to need another heart procedure, then he's going to have to, he's that much that much further down the road in terms of when he's going to play. It's 40 years old. It's pretty much
he's
time to
proved
go.
himself. He has nothing more to prove.
Oh no.
Rod
459
Gilbert.
career wins. Come on.
Rod Gilbert died on Sunday. He was the first. I didn't know this, brother, but I remembered it when it happened. It's hard to believe he was the first Ranger to have his number retired back in 1979. He holds the team record for points, goals. He's second in assists, Hall of Famer in 1982, and he was a lifetime Ranger, 8-time All-Star.
18 seasons with the Rangers.
Incredible.
He is Mr. Ranger.
He is.
I'm not sure that was the title he was looking for when he started his NHL career, but Mr. Ranger.
Yeah, he is, and you know what? He is maybe the greatest Ranger to play, if you think about it. I mean,
without doubt.
You think of like Messier or something, but he wasn't there long enough.
No.
And the only difference Messier had is that he made the playoffs and won the Stanley Cup. I mean, the Rangers of 71-72 almost made the Stanley Cup final. Well, did, but didn't win it, but he was a class guy. I remember getting his autograph. He was very nice. He didn't, but he had that Canadian accent.
That was one of the things that for Rod Gilbert that was a defining characteristic for him is what a good guy he was, what a gentleman he was.
Yep.
And also an incredibly talented hockey player. You can't argue that. You can't argue with his career numbers.
Yeah, he a true great Ranger, and before we became Islander fans, Tim, as you know, we were both Ranger fans of those early mid-70s Rangers. I was, at least. When
you were, not me. I was never a Ranger fan.
But you weren't an Islander fan until 75.
I was 10.
Well, so what? You were 10. Who cares? I like the Rangers. When I got to work with Stemkowski over at GBB many, many, many years ago, and we had him on our show a while ago, I was very impressed. And I never even got his autograph, though. I just realized it today.
Well, I mean, when I covered the Rangers, when I was their beat writer for those few months, I won't get into the reasons as far as what else happened. But I like covering the Rangers. Mike Richter was the goalie. Great guy, Mike Richter. Yeah, just what a great guy to talk to. So it was hard to keep the hate that I had for the Rangers in my youth because a lot of them were really good guys.
Right. So. And anyway, quickly, brother, we got about a minute. Quickly, give us a little soccer, brother.
Well, we had Red Bulls and NYCFC game was postponed Saturday night due to the downpour. Not really sure why the game wasn't called earlier, but the fans were not real happy that they had to show up at Red Bull Arena and then have the game be postponed.
Right.
Premier League, brother. Tottenham got its second win in 2 games, defeating Wolves 1-0 on a penalty kick by Dele Alli in the 9th minute. Harry Kane made his first appearance of the season, coming on as a substitute in the 72nd minute. As you know, Kane is still the subject of relentless transfer rumors about his future. The transfer window will close on August 31st.
Okay, that's it, brother. We're running out of time.
I think that's it.
We're running out of time. Anyway, coming up next at 10 o'clock, Big Ed Newlands with the Good Gold Show. You've been listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. This show becomes a podcast later on. We thank Sean Novat for keeping this show on the air. And that's about it.
Thank you, brother.
I'm Rob Leonard. Take care, and bye-bye.